Yeah, Najat, what I'm understanding is that she wants him and her to work as a team, but he keeps consulting others instead of her. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. He retired, so he feels like he's back at work, you know, like maybe creating again and... Okay, so... First thing obviously is speaking to him in a calm manner for a while, like inviting him into a conversation saying, hubby, I have something on my mind, I have something on my chest that's very important to me, and I really love you. I need your support. I need you to listen to me for 20 minutes without interrupting me. I have a lot of things to say, and I would like for you to help me with something. I would like for you to be there for me because I'm struggling with something. I have a need that I need to express something that's been on my mind, on my chest for a while. And then explain everything, but explain everything with no one-sided blame. Explain everything as if it's a problem that you both have, not a problem that you have with him. So speak in a way that I feel like this designing of the house is not two-sided. I feel like we don't have... So just everything you say, make it as if it's you and him versus a problem of remodeling the house. So I feel like the two of us are not like balanced, like we're not designing this in a balanced way. So it's you and me versus the house. Whereas whatever problem you guys have, it's most definitely not one-sided, and you gotta take some responsibility as well. And that responsibility on your part can be either you not communicating honestly, fully, calmly, or it's something. So his part is the control, but there is definitely some part of you that you need to take responsibility for as well. It might just be that every time you try to communicate these things to him, it's either reactive, so when he controls, you just fucking flip out, and it's never initiated by you to resolve the problem, or it's always emotional, and maybe he doesn't react good when you just come emotionally at him. So first of all, take into consideration that then when conflict and miscommunication is around, that it's two ways. Like communication always goes two ways. So think of in what way can you approach the situation so it's very calm, very rational, very composed, very balanced, very paced. So it's not rushed, it's sort of, and invite him into it. Invite him, set aside time. Don't resolve that conflict only when it arises. So you're putting out drapes or new carpets and he says something and then you're mad. And that's the part when you bring it up. No, when everything is done and you are rested and he is rested, and you had dinner and you had your tea after dinner, and then when everything is at least neutral, then you bring up the thing, and you bring it up in a neutral way where it's you and him versus the remodeling of the house. How can we, and say to him like, I really so say things in a way where it's you guys holding hands together, and it's something that you need for both of you, or for the sake of both of you. If you come at it in a way that you're so controlling, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, it's just gonna be resistance. You have to show your vulnerable side. You have to get him to show his vulnerable side. Both of you need to be relaxed, because human beings, if humans are not relaxed and breathing normally, you can't learn anything. You can't change anything. So, also, if you need more hours alone, downtime, you just need to communicate it. But you need to communicate it, again, without aggression, without emotion, without blame. You need to tell it as if, like, hey, hubby, I'm gonna take some time off today. I'm really tired. If you want to keep going, you keep going. I really need some time alone. I need to chill. I love you. I'm gonna take some time off from the remodeling of the house. Or people, I don't understand what it means when people come over. This whole thing is confusing still for me with your whole situation. But however it is, you just need to say it. You need to say in a way that it's not only his blame. His blame is the control part. I mean blame. His responsibility is the control part. But your responsibility is for you to make time for yourself, to communicate to him that you need the time, and then take the time. And you need to do it in a loving way. If you still love him, if you still want things to flow and to continue going, the communication needs to be where both parties take responsibility. For sure, it's not everything about him. I can guarantee you. I'm not sure what your part in this is, but talk to him about his part, but tell him your part also. Tell him, hey hubby, I haven't been really clear about my communication. I haven't dealt with this in a calm manner. I'm just saying generally, I don't know the whole story. So I feel we should be a team and help each other through. Yes, I'm triggered and understand his energy of being boss again. That makes sense. Okay, I'm glad this is a resolution of some kind. Yeah, being a team, helping each other through. Maybe if he wants to be the boss, let him be the boss in some areas, but then you decide on some things in your areas. If he wants to be the boss about everything, that's not realistic. But maybe there are some areas where you can actually allow him to do all the choices. But that needs to be communicated. That also needs to be communicated. So maybe he needs to feel that he contributes in a bigger sense, but then he can, let's say, have a certain part where he does everything. But it can't be everything where he does everything. It can be a certain part that he's managing, and you just lay back, be yin, be feminine, be receptive, and let him do everything in that part. But then in some other part, it's gonna have to balance out where you are gonna do everything in some other part, and he doesn't have a fuck to say about it. Well, not in the sense of, it's not ultimatums. You have to negotiate what it's gonna be. If he needs to be the boss in this area, you need to negotiate it where it's like, okay, you do that, and I'm gonna do this part. And if I let you do this entire part on your own, and you are the boss of this part, then you're also gonna have to let me do this whole part by myself, the way I want it. In the sense of, you can decide what the drapes are gonna be, and he decides the kitchen tiles. And there's no... he has to be okay with the drapes, and you have to be okay with the tiles. And that's one way of going about it. If you both can't handle that, and he absolutely has to say something about the drapes and sort of put his fingers into it, and you can't shut up about the tiles, then that's not the way for you. Then the way for you is to talk about the tiles, both of you, and decide together on the drapes. And that's with everything in life. Either one person guides the other person one person is the leader in one aspect, and then the other person has to let go of full control and follows. But then in another part of the relationship, the other person becomes the leader and you become the follower. And that can work like that. And that's like shifting dynamic, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. There are some aspects of a relationship where I lead. There's some aspects of a relationship where my partner, she leads. She's better at certain things than me. I'm better at certain things than her. And it can be either like that, where you sort of push, you sort of let the other person lead, but then the other person lets you lead, and then you let the other person lead, and then the other person lets you lead. It can either be like that, or for everything you have to compromise. And that's also okay. It means that everything you do, it's about sitting down and agreeing on something that you both want. So nobody's the follower and nobody's the leader, but then everything needs to be communicated. Everything needs to be agreed upon. It's not about choice, it's about him not understanding me wanting to have an hour of self-care. The balance you speak about, we have that, and yes, and yet yes, in general, lead, follow works. Okay, so you need an hour of self-care. Okay, that's very, very realistic. That's very realistic. You don't want to burn yourself out. You want to chill out for an hour. Tell him in a way that he understands. Does he have 1 hour of something that he does never negotiate about? He just says, this is what I have to do, and he does it. And you sort of respect that. Maybe you can use that as leverage, as like, hey, you have your hour of golf, or you have your hour of something that I always understand that you do. And that's why I need my hour of something or something, and you should understand. Like, can you understand it from that perspective? So your hour of self-care, can you explain it to him in a way that he has something similar, so he understands? Then again, if your hour of self-care, maybe he's in lack mode. Maybe he's in fear of, like making more and more money, and if you take an hour of self-care, then everything is gonna fall apart. Or that could be one aspect, that he's in lack, he's worried about money or something like that, or he's trying to prove something, so he's always going. And it could be some of those things. And it could also be that if he never gives himself an hour of self-care, maybe you wanting to give yourself an hour of self-care is triggering for him. He doesn't allow himself to stop and rest. And then when you want an hour of self-care, it triggers in him the reality that he actually wants to slow down but doesn't know how. Maybe the next step in your relationship is for you to teach him how to have self-care. Maybe you're here now to teach him how to rest more and let go of that control, because an hour of self-care is nothing else than relinquishing control and trusting life, that you don't have to be working all the time. And that seems like the ultimate answer, isn't it? Because you talked about control, and an hour of self-care is the opposite of control. It's surrender, it's trusting the universe. So I think we have the conclusion here. Yes, we both snowboard together. He's just so excited and missed being boss for big jobs. No lack, but passion and rush. Oh, so he wants to feel the fire going. Yeah, like he had in maybe his younger days. If something without him, I would love surrender. Okay, then you have to come to some way where you can have your hour of self-care and he can go and use his passion, and you have to be okay with that. Both of you have to somehow come to the conclusion that he can rest, that you can rest for an hour and he can keep going. But then that may be require from you can you do an hour of self-care while he's working, and then maybe you will come back from that hour of self-care and he has made some decisions on his own. So it's also, you need to surrender as well, in a sense. I think optimally for you, you would like for him to rest while you rest, because then you know he's not gonna do something to the house that you're not gonna like. But then that's also control from your part, isn't it? I love my yoga and breathwork and feel it's reasonable request we function differently. Yes, yes. So these are all some of the things, you know. You can't have both. At certain points in life, you have to choose. If it's surrender or is it control. If you want to be involved with every single aspect of remodeling the house, you're not gonna have this hour of self-care. And if you want self-care, maybe you're gonna have to relinquish some of the things in the house, because he's obviously not gonna stop. Or maybe he will stop. Maybe he's gonna burn out. Maybe you need to let him burn himself out and say, oh, this is too much, I also need that hour of self-care. So these are some of the things that there's no like extreme answer, definite answer. It's just sort of between surrender and control, between action and inaction, for him and for you. And there's a good saying called, just pick your control. You can't control everything in life. There are things that you can, and there are things that you really, really can't. And you gotta pick. Not everything can be important to you in life. And of course, if nothing is important to you in life, then that's also disbalance. So you need to choose what is important for you, and he needs to choose what is important for him. And it can be, and you need to choose what you want to control, and he needs to choose what he wants to control. He can't control everything, and you can't control everything. And not everything can be important, the most important thing for you, because if everything is most important, then nothing is important, because everything is the same. So the same is for him. So choosing where do you want to invest the energy, and you as well. And then sort of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.